The thumbnail of the video and the title is presented like this. Is Caitlin Clark the greatest of all time in college basketball? Clearly using Caitlin Clark's name to drive it, knowing that Caitlin Clark is the biggest needle mover. Not only is Caitlin Clark not even really on their list, she got removed from the...
ESPN is at it again, another blatant act of disrespect toward Caitlin Clark while pushing their biased agenda.
Can you be a top 5 player if you have not won a title?
Do you believe Larry Bird is an all-time great college player?
Yes.
Okay, well, he didn't win it, though.
Question.
They do leave Caitlin Clark out for the simple reason of not having a championship ring.
What about getting Iowa to the championship in back-to-back years?
Just when you thought they couldn't go any lower, they left Clark off their list of the top 5 greatest women's college basketball players of all time.
The only strike against Caitlin Clark is that she has not won a national championship. And that is the only thing that you can put against her.
Caitlin Clark took Iowa to back-to-back national champions.
And their excuse? She doesn't have a championship. Really? The same network that ranks male players as legends no matter their title count now suddenly claims championships are the only thing that matters when it comes to Caitlin Clark?
I do find it interesting that they do tout off all her accomplishments, records that have not been broken by anybody else, and they still cannot consider her in the top 5.
We're not buying their hypocrisy. In this video, we're breaking down exactly how ESPN is downplaying Clark's legacy, playing favorites, and rewriting history to fit their narrative. Stay tuned as we expose their double standards one by one.
I don't understand how you can see someone doing more with less in some aspects, but in this one, you can't see it, you can't give them...
ESPN's bias was on full display when they conveniently erased Caitlin Clark from their all-time top 5 list for women's college basketball. Their reasoning? No championship ring. But here's the problem: this rule has never applied to any other players. They've honored plenty of male and female athletes who never won a title. Yet suddenly, for Clark, championships are the only thing that matters.
Is being used as like a ploy. You know, they got to put Caitlin Clark's name in the title. They got to make sure, you know, you think you're watching something about Caitlin Clark, and then the rug is kind of pulled out when it's actually like, nah, she's not even in the top.
Take Oscar Robertson and Pete Maravich, 2 of the most celebrated college players in history. Neither won a national championship, yet ESPN had no problem ranking them among the greatest. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark didn't just break records, she rewrote history while carrying her team to back-to-back national championship games.
If that's your number one criterion, if you don't win a championship, you can't be on any list, fine. She made the point that Caitlin has exploded the game bigger than anybody else. That's part of the significance, and I guess you could say
the hypocrisy is undeniable. If championships were the ultimate requirement, why was Larry Bird, another college basketball icon, without a title, ranked so highly? The truth is clear. ESPN is holding Clark to a different standard.
Somebody who went to a team like Iowa, who did not have championship experience, who did not have stars around her. And it is undeniable that there is one player that brought Iowa to the championship that raised everybody else up around her, and their name.
And it gets worse. The way ESPN handled this wasn't just disrespectful, it was manipulative. They used Clark's name and face to promote the segment, knowing full well she's the biggest name in women's basketball.
Ranking players based on having a ring, a bit of an unfair way just to rank a player's.
They lured viewers in, making them think Clark would be honored alongside the greats, only to erase her from the discussion. This wasn't an oversight, it was a calculated move to cash in on her popularity while refusing to acknowledge her impact. Even ESPN's own analysts admitted it felt wrong to leave her off the list, recognizing that she has dominated women's basketball like no one before her.
Love Caitlin, love how she's transcended the game. I'm not going to go away from that, but in the open, we said, what makes a top 5 player? Winning. The only strike against Caitlin Clark is that she has not won a national championship. And that is the only thing that you can put against her, because the way she has dominated the record books when she was at Iowa was something you cannot duplicate. She's a 3-time NCAA scoring leader and assist leader, a true point guard for the people, 3-time All-American, 2-time Naismith Player of the Year, 2-time AP Player of the Year, all-time leading scorer. She broke the records of Kelsey Plum and Sabrina. Like, literally, there is nobody who has been such a front-facing name. It's a direct reflection of her skill set, but how can you be a top 5 player if you have not won a title?
It's a great point, which is why I agree.
But instead of standing by the truth, ESPN stuck to their weak argument, one that conveniently ignores how other greats without rings have been treated. They are blatantly shifting the goalposts to downplay Clark's greatness, refusing to recognize her impact, even though she has done more for women's basketball than anyone in recent memory.
Anybody says, oh, she didn't win a championship, how do they respond back when you say, who else was on her team? What about getting Iowa to the championship in back-to-back years? Is that?
And let's be real, if championships were the only thing that defined greatness, why do individual awards exist? Basketball is a team sport. No single player wins a title alone.
Don't think that Caitlin Clark is one of the top 5 basketball players of all time, but for the simple reason of not winning a championship, I do have to disagree. Championships are definitely a team recognition. They are something that a team does together, and
Clark didn't just shine at Iowa, she shattered records, elevated the game, and led a team with no championship history to back-to-back title appearances. That alone should place her in the top 5, if not at number 1. ESPN ignored her unmatched individual stats, so let's talk about the numbers they don't want you to see.
Breanna Stewart, who's on this list, played at UConn with a bunch of other pros, a bunch of other WNBA players. Being a part of a stacked team at UConn or South Carolina and winning a national championship, is that more impressive than sticking with your little home school, not surrounded by great talent, and carrying them all the way to the brink of championships? What's more?
Caitlin Clark holds the all-time scoring record in both men's and women's college basketball. That alone cements her as one of the greatest. But she wasn't just a scorer, she was a playmaker, consistently leading in assists and making everyone around her better.
Breanna Stewart won a lot of championships, no question. Did she squad up with a bunch of future WNBA players?
Her accolades speak for themselves: 2-time AP Player of the Year, 3-time All-American, 2-time Naismith Player of the Year, and 2-time Wooden Award winner. In nearly every category that defines an all-time great, Clark ranks at or near the top. Now, let's compare this to the players ESPN ranked above her. Were they legendary? Absolutely. But did any of them revolutionize the sport the way Clark did?
Kind of silly when you actually analytically and logically approach it. For a second, it falls apart. Because who from those other lists could you put on the Iowa teams and they get?
Her records stand untouched, her offensive skill set is unmatched, and her influence on the game goes beyond stats.
Always been the dominant teams. There's UConn, there is South Carolina. I think that the fact that Caitlin Clark started on a team that did not have mind-blowing talent existing and brought that team to a championship really says something about you as a player. And when you are ranking players, you are ranking them as an individual unit rather than a...
One of ESPN's biggest mistakes is ignoring the fact that Clark accomplished more with less. Unlike players like Breanna Stewart, Cheryl Miller, and Maya Moore, who had stacked teams full of All-Americans and future WNBA stars, Clark didn't have the same advantages. Iowa was never a powerhouse. She didn't inherit a championship-caliber team, she built one.
A lot of times, you as an individual can really raise that team up and bring them to a championship. Breanna Stewart, who was ranked number 1 in the top college basketball players of all time, but if she would have been on an Iowa team, would she have been able to win that championship?
Take Breanna Stewart at UConn, for example. She played alongside multiple elite players, had Hall of Fame coaching, and was part of an already dominant dynasty. Winning titles was expected. Now imagine if Clark had that system, while Stewart played for Iowa. Would Stewart have carried that roster to consecutive national championship games the way Clark did? Highly unlikely. The same goes for Cheryl Miller, who played at USC with future Hall of Famers.
Missed, which is Breanna Stewart's team, is the second to worst team in Unrivaled. And Breanna Stewart, with her talent, with her just winning a championship WNBA ring on the Liberty, did not raise that team to any high level in Unrivaled.
Clark was the reason Iowa had a shot at a title. Her leadership, vision, and ability to elevate her team turned a mid-tier program into a contender. That kind of impact should matter more than the number of trophies on the shelf.
Ranking is that Breanna Stewart is the number 1 best college basketball player of all time. The number 2 best basketball player is Candace Parker. And then they have Diana Taurasi. And then they have Maya Moore. And then in that 5th slot, they slot in Cheryl.
But Clark's greatness isn't just about her stats, it's about how she changed the sport. And that's something ESPN conveniently ignored. Before Clark, women's college basketball wasn't breaking viewership records. She changed that. She filled arenas, boosted TV ratings, and drove merchandise sales through the roof. None of the players ESPN ranked above her had that level of influence. Even ESPN's own analysts admitted her impact was historic, yet they still left her out. That says everything.
Most points by a point guard in a season in WNBA history. Most double-doubles by a rookie guard in WNBA history. Most points by a rookie in WNBA history. Most assists by a rookie in the history of the WNBA. First WNBA rookie to record 2 triple-doubles. First triple-double by a rookie in WNBA history. First triple-double in Fever history. The first player to be named WNBA Player of the Month and Rookie of the Month in the same month. First player in WNBA history with 20 or more points, 15 or more assists, and 5 or more rebounds in a game. She won Rookie of the Month 4 times. Eastern Conference Player of the Week 3 times, single season rookie record for assists, single season rookie record for 3-pointers, single game record for assists.
And that brings us to the real issue: ESPN's clear bias. If Clark were any other player, there's no doubt she'd be treated differently. ESPN has a history of pushing narratives that downplay her success while propping up their chosen stars. This ranking isn't an isolated incident, it's part of a pattern of disrespect.
Franchise record for most double-doubles, 3-pointers, career 10 or more assists in a game. Franchise record for most career 10 or more assists in a game. Fastest WNBA player to reach 100 3-pointers. She did it in 34 games. Most assists by a rookie in a WNBA All-Star game, for which she received the most fan votes ever, 700,000 of those. Fastest player to reach 350 points and 150 assists to start a season, regardless of years in the league. People will say, pay more attention to the other folks. Like, she couldn't do it herself. You know, LeBron has teammates, Jordan had teammates. I understand.
ESPN constantly hypes up players like Angel Reese, Aja Wilson, and South Carolina's dynasty. But when Clark makes history, they either ignore it or shift the focus elsewhere. The double standard is glaring. When Reese taunted Clark in the national championship game, ESPN called it competitive fire. But when Clark shows the same energy, she's labeled cocky or disrespectful.
They gave us a gym that I paid for. Not entirely, but they took money out of my check and I paid for it.
You better get the full usage of that.
Man, I got hot tub, cold tub, weight room, full court basketball, Ron. I walk in today, I'm on one side working out, Caitlin Clark on the other side.
Really?
I look at myself, there you go too, Patty.
Instead of celebrating her, ESPN spends more time covering WNBA players who criticize her. They push the narrative that she's overrated, despite all the evidence proving otherwise. It's obvious at this point ESPN has an agenda when it comes to Clark, and the more they try to diminish her, the more ridiculous they look.
You know, I say what's up, but I'm not the type to say what's up to interrupt your workout because I don't like people to interrupt mine. She can shoot the shit out of it.
And the WNBA assist leader this past year.
She can shoot the shit out the ball.
She's a great shooter.
And she's one of those workout people, you know, got to think, anytime I hit the court, I got to hit that bike. I'm older now, so I got to get on that bike and stroll for a couple 5, 6, 7 minutes. So while I'm strolling through the park, I'm looking at her shoot it. And she's one of those shooters where, if you know, as a gym rat, you guys know, like, damn, bro, why you throw that pass bad? Give me the ball in my chest. I'm like, oh, she's a gangster also.
She's lighting people up.
Throw me the ball the way I want it.
What drill was it? What drill was she running?
I don't know. She was doing a 2 in a row corner wing. And if you miss, you have to go back to the next spot. And if you missed again, you have to go back to the starting spot. She had a nice drill. I'm literally still in it.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right. So she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league.
Here's the reality: Caitlin Clark is the biggest superstar women's basketball has ever seen, and ESPN knows it. She's the reason for record-breaking attendance and TV ratings. She's the reason the WNBA is finally getting mainstream attention. But ESPN refuses to fully acknowledge her because it contradicts the narrative they've built for years.
Sheryl Swoopes is been missing. Sheryl Swoopes is MIA. They got a APB out for Sheryl Swoopes. If you see Sheryl Swoopes, she did a lot of talking a few months ago about the Indiana Fever, the locker room environment, how people didn't want to play there, how people wanted to leave.
But fans aren't fooled. They see what's happening. No matter how hard ESPN tries to diminish her, the truth is impossible to ignore. Clark has transformed women's basketball like no one before her.
Indiana Fever are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any sense.
And here's the best part: history won't remember ESPN's rankings. It will remember what Caitlin Clark accomplished. So let ESPN play their games. While they're busy rewriting history, Clark is making it. And the world is watching. Are you? Let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you next time.